So I'll start the recording from here actually, so that we can see everything in the next when we do a little review. So Gragas ban, okay, yeah. I mean, Gragas is ridiculously strong. I'd love to see like a Milio ban from here or a Milio pick. Okay, there we go. There's a Milio. So we get the Lulu probably come in again here because they are blue. They have shown that they like that Lulu, and Lulu B1 is. I actually really like it because even things like Thresh that can somewhat counter it, like it just ends up not playing full lane, and things like Thresh are usually taken to it, but in general, Lulu can play into a Thresh if the Lulu is good enough, which Eveluna is like Grandmaster Lulu player, so for sure knows how to play that into kind of the melee matchups. So here, I wouldn't be surprised if we just see some like the Maokai come through yet again. Like, they've clearly showed that they want to go with that, but again, I wouldn't mind see like hyper carries come through. They've gone with the Ari yet again. Again, they really want to keep this core, I guess, of if they lock in this lead, then that makes much more sense. I personally like to prefer to see things like the LeBlanc with the Lee Sin, but Ari is definitely a much safer. Whoa, where's the draft gone? Give me back my draft. Give it back! Give it back! Where's draft gone now? And maybe they had to restart. So, I mean, the thing is, so LeBlanc and Lee Sin are a really good 2v2 combo, but Ari is definitely much, much safer because obviously she has massive amounts of mobility and she could just roam a little bit harder. So that is something, but what are they saying? Where's the draft gone?
I love that champion. I think he's one of my favorite AD junglers. I've been searching for an AD jungler for a long time, and he has been the best.
I mean, I do like.
Okay, I want to go back to Solary a little bit more because I feel like they're the ones.
I mean, the thing is, I don't necessarily think Solary need to alter the bans too much. I think what they had going could have for sure worked, but yeah, I think in general, like, they just need to make sure that they're a bit more cohesive with what they want to do.
Me too.
Solary, are there any other kind of ADCs you want to throw into the hat? And then after Solary talks, so can jump straight in. I know you got the knowledge, right?
Okay, so we are back again. Repeat draft.
There are some early game oriented, or more early game oriented AD carries available for asking her champion pool. I'm thinking specifically.
So again, yeah, we got that Lulu Conan. I'm surprised that they didn't ban the Milio in the first game. Yeah, Ari, and what did they go with it? Did they actually go with the Lee Sin? I don't think they'd locked it.
I would love to see something about that, and it would pair really nice with Lulu too.
Okay, Wukong. So Wukong is incredibly powerful early game. One of the things with Wukong is as soon as you hit your Divine Sundra, that's when you become really, really good. Really, really broken. Again, we're getting the Zeri Lulu come through again. Somebody did say that she doesn't like playing the Zeri though, so that's interesting. But there is some kind of picks in the meta that you kind of have to go with. You have to play. Otherwise, like you just put your team at such a big disadvantage. Obviously, there's some like picks that you can alternate. So let's say, for example, if Lee Sin is really good, then you can go things like the Javan or the Xin Zhao that play a similar way, and you can play the kind of skill matchup. But in general, thingy. So again, going with Nautilus again, I think the Blitzcrank is way more value here. But they've still gone with the same core, the Zeri, the Lulu, the Syndra. I do like that core. It's really, really good. You get a lot of prio through mid, and that can leak into bot lane, but they need to make sure that they're banning away the Silas here and picking a safer topside kind of tank. So if we take a look at top lanes champ pools. Oh, that's me.
It's right. It's true, and to be fair,
where did I put?
Think, considering how they have played, I think they have a vast pool. I think Stratus Panda can bring anything to the table at this point. If we see a Caitlyn, I think that could work really well. You have the Nautilus to keep people in place and get the traps going,
I'd accidentally closed
headshots, and just get the health bars down as soon as you can.
So we do see
it could work well.
For the side of Solary,
the Vi and Jarvan fourth.
Like top does play things like I mean, the Poppy is banned. I mean, they do play a Gwen. They could go with a camera as well, or even a Garen, honestly. Like, I wouldn't be too surprised if they
Maybe
did go
not
with something like that. They just need something that can
maybe not
be
a
kind of a
combo.
big tank.
But anything.
Oh, okay. I mean, I highly doubt they go Kathas here. They're looking for some form of AD that can go into Zeri. It wouldn't surprise me if they just went
No, no game
with
fight.
something similar, like from last game. So, like I was going to say, like the Jin. And again, they're just going to save R5 for top. Not too bad, considering Yukiko will be kind of coming in a little bit more tilted, potentially, based on how the last game went. But they are saving R5 for a solo lane, which is big. Maokai Syndra is quite nice as well, because Syndra can guarantee the prio that can allow Maokai to run about. I do want to see some first strike come through though, instead of the aftershock that came through in the last game. But actually I don't think he needs to in this one, because he's just like, the goal of Maokai here is to be a huge frontline, same with Cassante. So this is actually really good now, because Cassante is a blindable top lane purely for the fact that he's so kind of powerful in general. I mean, we could, like, I mean, the volley would have actually been okay, because it kind of gets rid of some of the early game from Cassante, but I'm very curious to see what they actually go with. I don't want them to entirely go full damage here, but it's not the worst. There's no real setup for the Wukong in topside until Yone gets ultimate though, so it is just going to be another case of Yone is going to try and just fist fight like crazy and get ahead through the top lane, and we're going to get this kind of rotation coming from the Ahri Wukong again. Again, the Nautilus, it's kind of way too focused on Nautilus for the ult for the Zeri, but like, you can never ever go in, like ever. And this is something that I think they really need to look to punish. So I think if Solary want to win this, what they need to basically say is, hey, Yukiko, can you just play a very safe laning phase, please? And then if she does that, then you get the Maokai Syndra, that Syndra can get prio and then rotate into bot to get this Zeri Lulu ahead. Now, one thing that we didn't really see too much last game as well is Zeri Lulu actually has a very, very good early skirmish. Like, they can pump out a massive amount of damage. Zeri is usually a champion that wants to go a little bit later, but like the Lulu with it gives it so much laning power, it's crazy. Especially into the Nautilus as well, since you can quite effectively dodge the hooks by literally just sitting behind minions. So, I mean, in general, I think this comp is way better. The one concern I do have though is when I look at Yukiko's OP.GG, there isn't really much Cassante play, which, I mean, Cassante isn't the hardest champion, but knowing your kind of your ult damage and your kill range is super important for that pick. So I think in general that could be a little bit risky, but I think this draft is much better for Solary, and hopefully some of the proactive plays that they made, especially with Eviluna rotating into mid lane for those kind of 3-man fights, I think if they can pull that off, then it's way better. So better draft from Solary. I mean, I did say last game that I preferred Solary draft, but I do think I still prefer it, to be honest. But we'll see. C did show that they're very good individually, so we'll see where that goes from there. But yeah, I think this is going to be pretty fun in general. I mean, yeah, first draft they also banned Milio just to stop it from going B1, which, yeah, it's really good. So the problem you have with Milio is the champion, again, in general, I mean, I've ranted about this a few times on Twitter, but the champion is super powerful because it breaks fundamentals of the game. So things like attack range are things that when you're, say, learning ADC or support, attack range is something that you don't usually memorize exact attack ranges of things like abilities as much unless it's like a key ability, like things like Varus Q being almost 1600 range. Like, those are things that you can take note of, but in general you are just kind of memorizing, okay, this ADC can auto me from this far away or that far away, whereas when you add Milio into the mix, you get this huge amount of buff to those kind of fundamentals, and unless you're actively consciously recalling that information, then the champion becomes really powerful. And then the other kind of downside is usually when you have kind of enchanters in support, the thing that you're looking for the most is you're looking for some kind of engage pick that can look to jump on them early and kind of shut them out. Even things in the jungle, like things like the J4, the Lee, the kind of big, even things like the Nidalee and stuff like that, they're all junglers that are going to look to want to jump on a squishy enchanter. But you can't really do that because of Milio Q. He'll just push you away and then your entire engage is gone, because it's also got quite a hefty slow to it as well. So you end up in this like really big position where there's not really that much you can do into the champ unless he kind of misplays. And that kind of puts him into a position where he's kind of always going to be viable. So that's why we're always seeing that ban come on the third section of the bans. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, I will say that one of the big things that was really, really good in the last game is they were extremely proactive with the things that they were doing. And I think that's a really, really big thing. I think that proactive nature is huge. Also, ooh, I just realized there's more adverts running on my stream. I think the way I stop this is by running hourly ads, right? It was a hot minute since I last streamed. I'm not too sure. What I might start doing is, like, I mean, I'll go and make another tea after this anyway, but so I'll maybe just run a stream when I go and make one. But yeah, I think this is good. I'm excited to see what they go with now. So here we go into the game. I really like that aesthetic as well, that kind of going over it. So let's hop on in. So let's see what they end up changing in this game. So, oh, they're going for a level 1 cheese. Oh, no. Okay. They're going for a early cheese. Unfortunately, Lulu didn't actually go for that deep ward. It's actually really good. I'm really impressed by Eviluna here. I'm not going to lie. Even things as simple as this is... So one of the big things that you often get in these kind of games, and we'll go over this in the VOD as well, is most of the time people want to kind of walk up to this middle brush and get a ward down, and what you end up doing is a lot of supports will do that without really thinking. But even the slight variance of understanding that you're Lulu into the Nautilus and not going for that is actually really, really good. It's a really good adaptation of how you want to play the laning phase out. So again, it's I actually really like that. I think it's really good. So Wukong does obviously get spotted by the ward. They didn't see this. Wait, did it? Okay, so they didn't actually see that ward. That was blue side pinging. So it could have been good. They could have actually got a sweeper and cleared that away, give the Ahri. So for those that don't know, if you kill a ward at level 1... Whoa, what's this again? If you... whoa, what's happened?
To get to his level 6 as soon as possible, so we could expect to see him
Okay.
power farming.
Oh, game is paused. So what you kind of can do is if you take a ward at level 1, whoever kills a ward gets enough XP that if you're a solo laner, you can actually get level 2 off the first wave, so the first 6 minions, rather than the first 7. So what you can actually do is when you're playing something like Ahri, if you can get that first... that XP on that ward, then you end up in a position where you can you can get like a flash EQ and potentially look to all in. Actually no, you look to go W level 1 on Ahri. So it doesn't really change that much actually. So it doesn't matter too much. One thing I do like about this though is the Nautilus is positioning quite aggressively in bot lane, which is really good because he's constantly looking to try and get that kind of hook on the Lulu. Again, the thing with Nautilus is when he hooks, he brings himself to them, which is a little bit kind of weaker because if you go with someone like Blitz, it pulls them to you, so they're 100% out of position. But we'll see. So we're getting a full clear out of the Wukong here, so he's not really looking to... Oh, maybe not. Going for the blue straight away. Oh, maybe didn't fade, actually. Ari is getting this push again. Are they going to do the exact same thing again? There's no way Solary allow this. They're going for the exact same play yet again. Unfortunately, they didn't get the timing as well this time, but they have bot prio and mid prio right now, so yeah, I mean, this is going to be an early skirmish around this red buff. I wish they'd stop showing bot lane here, though. I'm not really interested in the bot lane play. I know that they're going to push this in and get prio, but here, okay, Wukong deciding to just back away from this. Doesn't really want to go for it. But again, they nearly did the exact same thing. This time, Maokai didn't choose to cross map, which is fine. But yeah. Again, we've got this Jhin into Zeri matchup too. So Jhin really needs to look to try and get some form of advantage. Well, usually you would anyway, just because the Zeri will end up pumping out more damage than you later on into the game. But one thing that we did see in the last game is that Jhin didn't really worry too much because the rest of the map caved. So he didn't really need to worry as much. So we'll see here now if there's any change there. Maokai is looking, so Hao looking to come up and see if she can do anything in top lane. So Yone's actually used his E now, so very, very easy bait. This is actually looking like a good kill for the side of Solary. Okay, Cassante, ooh, misplayed it. So this was very, very unfortunate because the Maokai was always going to get that kill then because Yone had to run away. So if the Cassante just didn't really walk up and give, then they could have got that kill quite easily on the Maokai. It doesn't really matter too much. And then Yone would have been able to push that wave in. They do have TPs to respond anyway though, so not really too big of an issue. And TP is going to be up by the time they're unleashed. So there's not really going to be too much coming in. It's not a terrible TP, so not too bad. So again, Cassante is going to potentially... Well, Cassante is going to have his TP for a play earlier, so there is going to be about a minute or so window where Cassante can potentially put that pressure on, but we'll see. First dragon goes over to red side. That was an Infernal Drake, so... wait, was it an Infernal Drake? Because this is showing the next one's Infernal. I wish they had some form of... I wish they had the Drakes up on the on this, to be honest. My cat. Hey Yumi, wanna say hi? Come here. Come say hi. Hello. This is my princess. Are we watching the games? What's going on? Oh, top lane's being killed, Yumi. Oh, top lane just got solo killed. That's bad, isn't it? Like 2 kills over to the Yone so early. Oh, what do you think of this one, Yumi? You think Sea are gonna win again? Oh yeah, me too. That's a really good prediction. You're a coach as well, is it? Oh. Okay. Oh. You want a brush? No? God, my So there we go. We've had the prediction from my cat. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not becoming a crazy cat person, I swear. Right, so again, like Yumi, my cat just said, I mean, another solo kill for the Yone in topside. I mean, the game is somewhat going very similar to what the previous one went. We do have about a 30 CS lead, or it was 30 a moment ago, CS lead for the Yone, which again isn't as terrible because like Cassante is still going to be a super big tank, but the issue that we're going to have is that the Zeri is going to have to position really, really well to avoid getting just one shot by the Yone later on into the game. So we'll see. Never mind, my clip that didn't work. Oh, this is actually a huge Solary play though. Making sure. Oh, this is. Oh, no, if they don't get this, this is really unfortunate. But oh, really, really nice flash from Ashavor in top lane there. That was massive. But again, another really good rotation from Eveluna. Like the rotations that she's been making this game have been so incredibly good, and last game as well, making sure that she is where she needs to be. Unfortunately, they did lose that kill, and now mid lane does get punished for it. Unfortunately, this could have been really good due to the fact that the Yone does have quite an advantage, and he does have a little bit of a bounty on him as well. So unfortunately, there was one really big misplay from Solary there, and then that ended up with C actually managing to get a really good trade from that. So a little bit unfortunate, but in general, it's not completely over. It's still fairly good. My cat is molting because it's summer, so I'm covered in cat hair. Right, so Everfrost coming through for the Ari now. Again, she's just going to be looking to set kills, especially for this Yone. There is a dragon fight coming up, and Hao does actually have her ultimate quite soon. So it's a little bit risky going for it straight away without ultimate, but I mean, it's not the worst. But, like, the issue is you can't really walk into Maokai on objectives as much. The Jin can do damage from such a far range, but they need to be looking to just drop this ultimate and go. Really big fight though, huge from the Cinder, actually managing to just take the Wukong away straight away. I mean, Maokai did come down, but again, huge there. So there is still a Baron Dance here. Jin does have Fourth Shot though, which does act as a smite basically, so he is going to be able to just take that away. They do want to do a little bit of damage to it, but I mean, he's just going to quickly take away. But they do get a catch, and Yone does come in. So again, there is the Ash of War is actually playing this extremely good. She's getting some really, really good advantages in every single game here, so this is potentially a top to watch. Now, one of the things is, now bot lane is incredibly valuable at the moment and really strong, but if you can get top laners super ahead, then they can end up just taking over a game, because you do get solo XP, and also a lot of top laners get a massive amount of base gold from levels. So it's roughly about 500 on champions like Eve, gold per level, but most of it is in defensive stats. Whereas on bruisers, or I mean usually bruisers, but somewhat tanks as well, things like the Cassante and even the Yone to some degree, you can get everything all the way up to about, I think it's 654 gold just in base stats on those champs. I think highest is Alawi, Yorick, Darius, and they're all around that 650 mark. So what you end up happening is these melee kind of bruisery picks end up with so much base stats that when you pick them in a solo lane and they get super far ahead, they end up so many levels up. Like right now, we can see that the Yone is actually level 10 in comparison to the Zeri Lulu's 8 to 7, which again, Zeri did die, which did lose a bit because she did get some solo XP from the Lulu roam into top lane. But this Lulu is going to be a very easy picking for the Yone later on into the game, so it becomes a little bit rough. So in general, though, I think this Lulu is playing the series extremely well, so we'll see what happens from here. Hopefully this does go through to game 3. It's going to be quite difficult for them to kind of deal with the Yone if he gets a really good ult. The thing that they need to be looking to do in this game is they don't want to waste all of their summoners on things like the Wukong when he goes in, and not summoners, like their abilities. They can look to potentially use a Syndra E to kind of push him away just to stop the Cyclone, but in general you're looking to peel this Yone away as much as possible, and they do have the tools for that. They've got the poly, they've got the rapid growth, they've got the just Maokai's kit in general for the CC that it does. Even Cassante, if Cassante can potentially ult the Yone away, but we do see a tower dive down here. Now this could potentially go, actually no, it's just kind of bad because they aren't considering the Ahri moving. So yeah, you're just going to get 2 quick kills going over. I think Dauntless should have done that kill to a carry. Ahri didn't get any kills there, but I mean, she is going a little bit more supportive. Yukiko getting dove again. It's not looking good for this top lane. Again, we're looking at plus 40 CS lead as well, and 3 kills. This Yone is extremely powerful, especially on that bulk spike. And now, you know, he's going to get this first tower as well. So it's looking a bit unfortunate for the side of Solary here. It seems like Sea have really kind of they've got good information on this team, and they've looked to very heavily shut them down early into the game. So we are seeing that coming to fruition now. They evaluated the top lane is going to be where they're going to concede power. We do have a little bit of a fight here. Unfortunately, Potato Claus does have to leave. She is getting collapsed on by, again, the Lulu. Eva Luna, again, on this first rotation is absolutely massive considering the Nautilus has priority in lane. So I get a really, really good. So we'll go over it in the VOD, but one of the things with that kind of rotation is when you die, you technically get temporary tempo, which you can then use to kind of push like an objective. So what most people do is when they die, they just kind of go back to the lane they were in, or they just don't really look to do much. But what you should look to do is when you die, instantly look to come out of base and look where you can impact and then go from there. And that's kind of what you're looking to do. I mean, it is of 10,000 gold difference at the moment, so this one is a lot harder of a stomp. Obviously this comes from those kind of mental barriers of you know, when you lose a game in the fashion that they lost game 1, where it was just Ash of War kind of popping off. Okay, another really big fight. Unfortunately, Eva Luna does get caught very, very heavily here. Syndra is trying to do a lot of damage, but there's not really much she can do. Doesn't quite manage to kill the Ahri there with that ultimate, but this is the thing, Syndra is a really big scaling pick now because she gets to that execute damage, and that does a massive amount for her team fighting potential. But at this point, because they have punished her and they force her out, it's very hard for her to actually do that as much. Again, here we've got another fight with Yukiko, but unfortunately she is just getting massively chunked. She does miss the Q on the Yone there. But in general, it's it's looking like this game is somewhat over. I mean, there could be a miracle, but one of the things we're also seeing here as well is the Wukong has actually pulled out his Divine Sundra now. Now, Divine Sundra is probably one of the biggest power spikes on Wukong. It gives him so much potential power that it becomes really, really rough for him to really... for anybody to skirmish him at this point. So the Wukong's on a massive power spike. The Yone is also extremely powerful too. He is going into the Lord Dominic second, which is quite interesting. I mean, I would have much preferred to see him just go into the Gale Force, to be honest. I think Gale Force at the moment just gives so much value, and because it's 400% of overall crit chance, and obviously Yone Yasuo gets so much crit, it makes Gale Force really, really good on those champions. So I am a little bit surprised that he has gone with the LDR second, considering we've only seen Cassante come out. This does show that the Yone is opting to more so play in a side lane and just keep this lead going. So that's probably what we're going to see from him. But in general, we'll see where this goes to from here. Wukong probably going to go into something like the Black Cleaver as well, which is going to render the behind Cassante a little bit weaker. But we do see the Maokai has come out with Demonic Embrace as well, the classic build from last season where you go and tank Maokai, you go Demonic Embrace into something like Radiant Virtue. Again, so the Maokai can get away with going full tank this game. I don't think he needs to go with that Demonic Embrace whatsoever. I think just going straight into tank items and look to be as kind of supportive as possible was probably the better play. Just because he's already got massive amounts of damage. When you've got these hyper carries, one of the things that you're looking for is you want to have really big beefy front lines, because they can just tank massive amounts of damage and then kind of you can do work. The issue that they have with that this game though is this Yone on R5 actually means that he can still access the backline with his ultimate, which means that the big amount of peel can be a little bit less effective, especially if the Ahri and Nautilus and Wukong decide to all jump in. So the kind of cohesiveness of the side of Sea's comp is very much there. I do think Solary has some really strong kind of picks in the current meta, like the Zeri, the Syndra, but I think unfortunately Potato Claws has had a lot more kind of influence over the game so far in comparison to how. But we shall see. Wukong has picked up his Coalfields, which again is probably going to go into a Black Cleaver, which is going to again make the LDR purchase a little bit. I don't really like it too much. I mean, I might be wrong on this, but like I really just think getting into that Gale Force would have been much more value. Jin is kind of getting towards that Gale Force now as well. And Nautilus is massive. He's got that Even Shroud coming in. So Ahri is playing a bit more supportive, which is completely fine. Is going into the Banshee's Veil. I presume she's going into the Banshee's Veil for the Syndra, either the Syndra E, which is probably more useful, or okay, really big pick, nice Everfrost onto the Zeri. Unfortunately manages to flash over the wall though, but unlucky. The Nautilus does get shut down here, and it does go over to the Zeri as well. That's probably the one champion that you do want that gold concentration to go towards, but unfortunately Wukong does just come to the kind of cleanup, and it does feel like whenever Solary is getting an advantage, C is just kind of making that back, or kind of they're responding to it in time. So we do kind of have a slight issue there. Unfortunately, this is a pretty big stomp where we're starting to come up close to the 15-20k item in the third slot. So it's the new something pendant. It's the new item that changes into Knight's Vow. So it's kind of like a middle ground. It just builds out of a cloth armor and a ruby crystal. Let me have a look. Lifewell Pendant it's called. So it builds into a lot of the sport items. So it could be either going Locket, Knight's Vow, or Zeke's Convergent here. But yeah, it was added with the new item changes. It's not too bad of an item, to be fair. It's got you lose a little bit of gold when you purchase it, but it doesn't really matter as much because you are building it into other things. So again, it's not too bad. It's actually really good for him. I would probably be looking maybe towards something like a Knight's Vow, try and get some of that damage away from the Wukong, especially when he jumps in. So that's usually what I would expect to see here. But I mean, Zeke's Convergence is a pretty decent item as well. And obviously he's already got Even Shroud, so he can't go Locket. So yeah, I presume he's going to go into the Knight's Vow. Knight's Vow was one of the items that got really, really big buffs. So it's really, really good. Okay, so again, gonna look to get this dragon. I would like to see dragons shown. Da, da, da. Just asking if they can show dragons. So they are just looking to siege with this now, to be honest. I mean, they're super far ahead. They can probably just go for a straight on tower dive. They're going to be literally a full item up. Okay, so they did burn a lot on this Maokai, though. That was a little bit of a mistake. Like, that's one of the front lines. So, if anything, Solary do have a window to try and do some damage here, just because they kind of dumped quite a lot on the Maokai. Maokai, unfortunately, doesn't have ultimate available, so can't really look for that re-engage. But Yone, very, very big. Ooh, what is Yone going into? What is she cooking? Not opting to go into the Gale Force. What are they looking to go into? Okay. So they are looking to get resets in. They have 2 inhibs exposed right now. Yeah, it is G. Yeah, this women's tournament. Yeah, it's good. I love to see it. I love to see these initiatives take place. I think everybody deserves a fair shot at trying and competitive, and when you've got so many guys that have just had so many extra years of being allowed to being competitive, I think it's a really, really good initiative to have these kind of tournaments and showcase that there's definitely talent there, and all just need to look to pick them up. I mean, this game has been really, really good. I mean, especially even Ash of War, for example, have played extremely well in this series, and I think any org that is looking to scout players, I think this is a great kind of place to start. I think it's amazing. Like even being able to cohesively play as a team like this is really, really big, and I think these players are very able to just slot into any form of team as well, like any mixed gender team too. So it's it's really nice. I like to see these initiatives take place, and I was lucky enough to be invited to co-stream this, so I'm really happy. Yeah, I just think that people need to be given a chance. So Nautilus does, Hook goes wide, that means he doesn't get, actually I mean he's got Glacial, so it doesn't even matter. So again, really, oh, this was actually really big. Nautilus does die here. Zeri just walking up like crazy trying to get some damage off. Unfortunately doesn't manage to. Had to use the Lulu ult to save the Maokai here. I mean, that was a glimmer of hope, but unfortunately, I think if the gold was even, that could have potentially gone really well, but it just quite simply isn't. I don't know why my throat is giving up either. I guess I haven't spoken this much in a while. Okay. So. Okay, Yone opting to go into the Jack Show. Now, I do think Jack Show is really good because of the mixed resistances it gives, but I think, actually, the more I think about it, the more I think it's good. So, the logic behind an item like this is when you are kind of so we're going to get Baron. This is going to go pretty quickly. They do know that they're on it though, but unfortunately Cassante does not have his TP available now. Like what Solary need to do here is they need to just give the Baron and sort these waves, because the fact that they're floating about in this jungle and going for the blue buff is just allowing these super waves to continue pouring into their base. So, ooh, unlucky. Eviluna does manage to avoid getting hit by the Yone, does waste ultimate. I mean, I can imagine this game can be a little bit tilting, but I mean, to be fair, some of the rotations that she made through the early game were very, very good. So I'm not casting shade whatsoever. I think she played her rotation game really, really well in both games, to be honest. So one of the things that so the concept behind, actually we'll go over it in VOD. Let's continue watching for now. Like, this is just going to be where they just finish them up. Yeah, there's only one tower left, and, you know, it's not really going to hold them too much. So that is the 2-0 over to Team C. So, again, this was a really, really good game to watch. I mean, they did really take that lead. Ooh, 70. Wait, the goal just changed. Huh? I swear it said they had like a 75k gold lead. And then it changed. Why is there another ad break on my stream? How do I turn ads off? Like, this must be so boring to watch. Stream. How do I turn ads off? Ad-free viewing. Oh my god. Twitch changed my setting. They turned ad-free viewing off. What? Okay, I've turned ads off now, because this is not fun. Okay, so ads are off, so now it should be okay. So as soon as these ads are finished, there'll be no more. What? I've just turned ads off twice. There we go, ads are off. Thank God. Yeah, I don't know why ads were showing there. It was very weird, but let me just find out what's happening with